Let's talk real life. We tell our kids, learn how to budget, save for a rainy day, avoid debt. And don't get me wrong, financial literacy is important, but it's not enough because we all know that life gon' life. And when it does, what skills will keep your teen from sinking? What if they lose a job? What if the economy crashes? What if the government shuts down benefits? What if they don't have family to fall back on? Y'all, this is bigger than budgeting and credit scores. This is about how to survive, regardless of what the economy looks like or who's in office. This is survival literacy. And if we don't start teaching it, our kids are going to struggle in ways we can't afford. Let's get into it. Hey, and welcome to Design My Story. If you're new here, I'm Lakeisha, a mom of five and the author of The First Time Adult. I give parents simple ways to prepare their teens for adulthood without the stress, nagging, or power struggles. Let's get into the video. So, financial literacy teaches you how to handle money, how to budget, how to save, how to invest. But here's the problem. What happens when the money stops? Because life don't care how well you budgeted if you lost your job. Life don't care how great your credit score is if rent just doubled and you aren't ready. That's where survival literacy comes in. It's about knowing how to pivot. It's about having multiple income streams, and it's about knowing how to adjust when life throws a curveball because it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Listen, I've been there more times than I can count. Two of the hardest things I've learned: one, you can't always depend on people, even with the best of intentions. And two, you can't depend on just one source of income. I'm 44, so I'm telling y'all from 27 years of adulting experience. Savings ain't cute, it's necessary. Your money needs backup, and you have to know how to pivot. Because let me tell you something, it's okay to be frustrated. It's okay to be disappointed. Hell, it's even okay to be pissed off. But after the emotions run their course, you got to ask yourself, what's my next move after all these things just happened to me or this situation just happened? Because life will keep moving with or without you. So the question is, are you prepared, and are we preparing our kids? So let's break it down. Yes, teach your teens how to budget, how to save, and how to invest, but also teach them how to make money in multiple ways, how to find affordable housing, and even exploring alternative housing options that we're seeing a lot of lately, how to cook basic meals because DoorDash ain't cheap and definitely not a long term survival plan, how to handle emergencies, job loss, medical crisis, financial setbacks, right? Because this is the reality we are sending them into. We need to equip them for it. So, contrary to belief, this isn't just a school problem or just a home problem. Both need to be equipped with the right tools. So, for my parents, how to teach those survival literacy, how to teach survival literacy at home. Talk about real life financial struggles. Be honest. Let them learn your wins and your losses. You'd be amazed at how much your teens are paying attention to you, how you handle situations, how you manage money, how you talk about finances, and any struggles that you may have. Teach them to be resourceful, how to compare prices, negotiate bills, and stretch a dollar. At the time of recording this, March of 2025, it's a struggle for so many people trying to make ends meet because of the cost of living, the literal cost to survive day to day. And if our teens don't know how to be resourceful to meet their needs during times like this, it's going to negatively impact their life. Show them multiple ways to make money: side hustles, freelancing, investing. This is something I not only tell my kids, but I show them. So when I decided to go full time as an entrepreneur, it was a conversation I had with them. Now, they might not have fully understood it, but because the conversations we have about entrepreneurship and money is so normal in our household, they've been growing up watching me make money multiple ways. So showing them how to pivot in challenges. And I'm also honest about my financial struggles I've had, because as I said before, it's just as important to talk about my lows as it is to highlight and talk about my highs. Next, you want to give them real financial responsibilities. I talked about that in my previous video. Let them manage a budget, pay for some of their own expenses. They need to know what financial responsibility feels like without you intervening. So, for my educators, how to incorporate survival literacy in the classroom. You want to expand your financial literacy programs, right? Or create a financial literacy program that covers real world, money challenges, not just savings and credit scores. So, for example, one of your lessons can be what I call the broke before payday trap, right? Where you're talking to teens about getting their first paycheck and realizing taxes took a big chunk because $15 an hour sounds great until they see the net pay. You want to talk to them about spending money too fast because they don't know how to budget properly, realizing that bills don't wait. They have to manage rent, car payments, and essentials first. So the solution with this is that you're teaching them budgeting with real numbers, not just theory. And you're showing them how to prioritize needs over wants before they even start working. The next lesson you can do is the bad financial decision cycle, right? So this is where you're signing up for credit cards with high interest rates just because you got an offer in the mail, right? Buying a new car, they can't really afford because they were only looking at the monthly payment and not the long-term cost. Or getting trapped in a bad lease because they didn't read the fine print or didn't have rental history. So the solution here is that you're teaching them how interest works before they max out a credit card. You're explaining how to evaluate car payments beyond can I afford it right now? And you're walking them through real lease agreements so they know what to look for. Next up is what I call the I didn't expect that expenses. Here's where you talk about car breakdowns, that $500 plus repair bill, or medical bills that show up. Insurance doesn't always cover everything, right? Rent increases because we're seeing a lot of that. And what happens if their lease jumps $200 a month? So this is where you're teaching them to build an emergency fund early, even if it's small, and walking them through common surprise expenses and how they can handle them. The next lesson that you can do is what I call the job loss / income loss wake up call, right? Their job cuts their hours or lays them off completely. The economy shifts and their field of work becomes unstable, or they get sick or injured and they can't work for a while. So this is where you're teaching them about multiple streams of income, freelancing, side hustles, investing. You're also talking to them about career adaptability and how to pivot when jobs change, right? Next up, we have what I call the living paycheck to paycheck reality, right? So this is where you're talking to them about or giving them examples of what that looks like. Making just enough to cover rent, food, and gas, never getting ahead. Feeling stuck in a cycle where they can't save because all their money is spent before payday, and then not knowing how to break free and actually build wealth over time. So this is where you're teaching them why savings isn't optional, even if it's just $20 at a time. And this is where you're showing them how to increase income instead of just cutting spending. So these are some real world money challenges, and they hit harder when teens experience them firsthand. But if we prepare them beforehand, they'll know how to handle these setbacks a lot easier. So let me give you a couple scenarios. And you have a teen, Jessica, 21-year-old, who's been working full-time for a retail store since graduating high school, right? She lives in an apartment, pays her car note, and covers her basic bills. One morning, she gets an email from her employer, the store is shutting down next month, and she's losing her job. Jessica has no savings and no backup income source. Rent is due in 2 weeks, and she still has a car payment. She applies for unemployment, but y'all know it'll take a few weeks before she sees a check, right? Her challenge is that she needs immediate income to avoid eviction and missing bills. She has zero financial cushion because she didn't prioritize savings, and she has no backup skills or side hustle to fall back on. She's never lost a job before and doesn't know how to navigate this sudden income loss. So the solutions that you would go over, and which is why it's important, is that you're now preparing these teens for them to have an emergency plan mindset. So you're teaching teens that job losses is a common life event, and they need to have financial backup plans like savings, a side income, or job flexibility, right? Income diversification, letting teens know to always have more than one way to make money through freelancing, gig work, passive income. And then, of course, adaptability, where they need to know how to quickly pivot to short-term income sources, even if it's like DoorDash or Instacart, or leveraging a skill they have like tutoring or reselling items or finding additional remote work, right? And then financial prioritization, where they must immediately assess their finances, cut unnecessary expenses, and then be able to negotiate any bills that they have outstanding to buy them time. So let's look at another scenario. Let's say you have Derek, a 19-year-old college student who is attending school full time while working part time at a coffee shop. And one day, suddenly he gets sick and ends up in the emergency room. After a few tests, he's discharged, but 2 weeks later, he gets a $3,000 medical bill in his mailbox. Now, Derek assumes his student insurance covered everything, but he didn't read the fine print, and his insurance only covered 80% of ER visits, leaving him responsible for the rest. Now, he barely makes enough money to cover rent and food. He can't afford to pay $3,000 up front, and ignoring it means it'll go to collections, hurting his credit score right before he even starts adulthood fully. So his challenge is that he didn't understand his insurance coverage before the emergency. He has no emergency fund to cover unexpected medical costs, and he doesn't know what medical bills can be negotiated. And of course, his credit score is at risk if he doesn't act fast. So, the survival literacy solutions could be first, understanding health insurance. So, teaching teens how deductibles, co-pays, and out of pocket costs work before they need it. Negotiating bills. So, calling the hospital to set up a payment plan, applying for financial aid, or negotiating the bill come down, a certain amount. Building an emergency fund. Even saving a $500 to $1,000 early can prevent medical debt from spiraling out of control. And then credit awareness, right? Explaining how medical debt impacts our credit and why ignoring it could make a situation worse. So these are the type of scenarios um, that are why survival literacy is so crucial, because it's not just about handling money, but also knowing how to think, how to pivot, and how to adapt when life throws curveballs. So another thing I like to encourage schools to do and teachers to do, educators to do, is offer career and income diversity education, right? So beyond just not just get a job, but also build an income. So for example, you have a lesson about understanding multiple income streams. The purpose of this lesson is so that students learn the 5 major types of income and how to mix them for financial stability. This is important because teens see that one job is just one way of making money, but it's not the only way. And this is why it's actually harmful to just push get a job as the only solution. We have to teach teens to build their own income stream so they're financially stable, even if the job market shifts, and show them that their skills, knowledge, and creativity can make them money, not just an employer's paycheck. You can also create partnerships with local businesses. So through internships or job shadowing, real work experience. So a few ways this could work is partnering with like a local mechanic shop that offers paid internship for students interested in automotive careers, right? Partnering with a digital marketing agency that provides a job shadowing opportunity for students to learn social media and content creation. Even partnering with a real estate investor that lets students assist with property management, learning about leasing and renovations and passive income, or even partnering with a local restaurant that lets students train in business operations, handling inventory, sales, and customer service, right? Going beyond just the cash register, right? This is how we prepare them for the real world. Now, I already know there's some parents that are thinking, but Keish, my kid doesn't need to worry about all this right now. And listen, I get it. We want our kids to have a childhood. We want them to focus on school, enjoy life, and not stress about adult problems. But here's the reality. Life don't wait for you to be ready. Emergencies don't check your birth certificate before showing up. Debt don't care if they're just a kid. The world won't go easy on them just because they weren't taught. So the question is, do you want them to learn these lessons now in a safe environment with you, or later the hard way? So when I have these conversations with parents, I hear a lot of different common rebuttals, right? Such as they'll learn it when they get older. That's like saying they'll learn to swim when they're drowning. No, by then it's too late. By the time they're struggling financially, the damage is already done. By the time they've signed a bad lease or maxed out a credit card, they're already stuck. By the time they lose a job and have no backup plan, it's survival mode. Why wait until they're in crisis to teach them how to handle it? Or I'll get I'll always be here to help my kids, right? I'll always be there. And listen, I love that you want to support your either soon to be um, or already young adult kids, right? That's what parents do. But let's be for real. You can't guarantee you'll always be there. And what if something happens to you? What if they move out and suddenly have to figure it out alone? What if they are too embarrassed to ask you for help? The best thing you can do as a parent is not just give them help, but teach them how to also help themselves, right? Another one I get is my teen doesn't need to work or worry about money right now. Okay. And I always say, let's fast forward. What happens when they turn 20 and need to pay for gas, groceries, rent? What happens when they're in college and don't know how to stretch a budget? What happens when they're working and for whatever reason can't make ends meet? A kid who grows up never having to think about money is a kid who grows up unprepared to handle it. And the goal isn't to stress them out, the goal is to prepare them, right? And then I get I hear you about the whole survival literacy thing, but this just sounds like it's for struggling families. And this is where I'm like, we're going to kill that stereotype because that's so incorrect. Survival literacy is for everyone. Rich people can face financial hardship. Middle class families experience layoffs or a natural disaster that causes financial strain. Unexpected medical bills don't discriminate. This isn't about being poor, it's about being prepared because money comes and goes, jobs come and go. The only thing that stays is how well you know how to navigate life. And that's what we want to instill in our teens. Listen, as a mom of five, I know all too well the desire of wanting your kids to have an easy, happy life. But we also want them to be strong, capable, and prepared. If there's one thing I need y'all to take away from this video, is this. Financial literacy is great, but survival literacy is essential because life doesn't care how great your budget is. It cares if you're adaptable. It's not a matter of if life gets hard, it's a matter of when. And when it happens, will your kids be prepared or will they be blindsided? So we have to start teaching survival literacy now. All right, if this helps you, make sure to hit like and subscribe. Also, share this with other parents and educators who could benefit from this information. Also, share in the comments with me what's one survival skill you wish you had learned earlier. Also, before you leave, I've got something for you. I created the Teen Independence Playbook, which lays out step by step what responsibilities your teens should take on by age so they're truly prepared for adulthood. It's a free guide, so be sure to click the link in the description to grab it and start using it today. Now, if you want a step-by-step roadmap to help your teen transition into adulthood smoothly, check out my book, The First Time Adult Life Readiness Set. Link is also in the description. All right, thank you guys so much for watching. And don't forget to design your story now, design your day for greatness, and have a great day on purpose. I'll see you in my next video.